January 2020 metagame 2022. Yeah, 2022. Oh man, it's been such a long time here. We're going to talk about ban list implications warping around the top decks of this format. So this just isn't one of those boring top 5 decks of the format videos. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out more awesome content. We're going to talk about top 5 decks, implications of the ban list here, and will they maintain going into February Battle of Chaos, you know, adventurers, the set here. So number 1 on starting off here will be Drytron. This is what I consider the benchmark of tier 1 decks at this point in time. Nothing's really changed with this deck. Should you guys be pooping your pants on the ban list for Drytron? Everybody, for some reason, thinks that Ben 10 needs to be banned, and I'm literally laughing at all of you still to making this video. Dumbest opinions I've heard in modern era Yu-Gi-Oh! Drytron has fallen off the last couple of months. All right, you get 1 or 2 contenders, and people are like, no, Ben 10 still needs to be banned. What in the world are you thinking? All right, this deck is still make a board. You activate Dark World no more, they die. Droplet, cleanup, IL9, Franklin them. All right, you have so many opportunities to clean up these boards that are produced from Drytron that it's not an unbeatable matchup at any percent here. And if you're somebody that's looking at, you know, going like, hey, well, you know, should I pick up Drytron next list? You're gonna have issues going forward here, but not in a bad way. All right, just remember, 1 Ben 10, I think the deck is perfectly fair at this point in time. Because remember, you're going to go through 2 levels of power creep in the next couple of months here. First being Adventurer, the next being Branded. And looking forward to seeing that, at least for January, I think Drytron's a safe pick for starting off right now. It's just things are going to get a lot harder for Drytron players for the upcoming months. So deck still does what it does. Herald and Friends, still an amazing board to set up. You just still kind of get choke pointed out like a good well-timed DD Crow, interrupting the Ben 10 as you're tributing for cost before you can resolve the Ben 10 in the graveyard. It feels absolutely insane to be one of those players getting interrupted. You want to cry every single time. Next up here is Phantom Knights. Now as we head on into a ban list here, people got their fingers crossed for Dagda Scythe, something getting hit there, because as soon as that Adventurer stuff hits, you're going to watch this deck still maintain its presence in the top 5, for sure. I think this bad boy is going to bump up to about 1 or 2 once we get that, depending on how the list shifts up here. Right now, what this deck does is it still makes these pretty wicked boards. You still have some little Scythe interactions that come up, not all the time. I mean, if I could do it every game, that'd be great, but, you know, Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, Scythe pop with an Omni Negate, we're not there yet. So Scythe interactions with Destroy Phoenix Enforcer to pop with Rusty with 1 or 2 Fog Blades is what you do. Post addition of Adventurer later on in the month, we'll talk more about this, but you're going to get the, oh, cool, like, I get an Omni Negate, and I get a token that I can turn into a Wing Spider, make a Verti Anaconda if I really want to. I get a discard outlet. That's more like setting up for February here. But remember, this deck, as a potential hit on the ban list, I don't think they're going to do anything too crazy. At most, like I said, I think we're going to be looking at potential early game hits to just Scythe or Dagda. Alright, I do obviously understand that Scythe is the more problematic card, but the TCG in the past has proven to us that they like to dodge around the potential hits here and go straight after the enablers, which technically Dagda is the enabler for pulling it straight out of the deck. Don't know if I necessarily like the thought of that, but that's kind of what we're sitting at here at this point in time, ladies and gentlemen. I wish I could be more optimistic, but deck's definitely still top 5 for sure for the boards that it makes. Nothing's changed at all for this. Next up here is Invoked, Shadal, Dogmatica. Now, this deck got full advantage of Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. Oh boy. Nakaba plus Window plus Destroy Phoenix Enforcer is a hack of a board. And you're probably like, well, Robbie, you haven't mentioned this deck in the past. Like, what's the point in, like, putting this so high up now? Honestly, after more regional representation recently, this deck has gotten a little bit more spotlight, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But as I said, Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, Invoked, Dogmatica. All right, those 3 engines go burr simultaneously with each other, and that's why you see this deck performing so well right now. All right, Super Poly, Super Poly. All right, board breakers, board breakers. That's what you need. Now, is anything going to happen to this? Looking at Destroy Phoenix Enforcer / Verti Anaconda, I don't think that anything's going to happen to the Destroy Phoenix Enforcer package anytime soon. But with that thought being said, that you are still in danger when the ban list drops later on in the month for that package, which that package has been the stronghold backbone to this deck. And unfortunately, if anything happens to it, we'll kind of see where this deck will spiral back out of control to. You know, everybody wants Magical Meltdown put to 1 for some reason, but this deck is trying to live its best life out here from like 8 years ago. Chill. Let it do its best, all right? At this point in time, I'm so used to seeing Winda show up that it's not even a bet. Just play around it, 5-head. It's what the standard player base wants to say every single time that this ends up coming up. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's still a very good competitor. Having to deal with a Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, a Makaba, and a Winda does feel a little bit impossible at times. I'm not going to say that it's doable, but it's definitely easier than it was in the past. Next up here is Tri-Brigade, and in the same category as Tri-Brigade, I'm going to mention Lyricalist Tri versus regular Tri. So by far, Lyricalist Tri has been the most popular deck. I want to see Recital Starling get hit to 1. Is that how you start that segment off? Recital Starling to 1 would literally patch what this deck does. It's 1 less searcher. It cuts off the F-Zero pack. No, they can still make F-Zero, because they can still make the assembled Nightingale to make it. It's just a little bit harder with things. I heard a take the other day talking about banning Nerval to cut off the separation between the 2 engines. I don't think the Triad needs a hit right now. I think, if anything, you slap the Lyricalist package on the wrist with Recital at 1. That doesn't kill the deck at all. In fact, it just hurts the consistency enough to leave it. All right, going forward here, you guys are going to want to be happy to see Tri in the near future here, as we're going through the infinite power creep warp that's coming. All right, because I assure you that change is coming, and people out here that have already invested in Tri-Brigade, they'll be happy just to be able to pick up the deck and really enjoy it at this point in time. So, does Tri itself need a hit? No, these are the same people out here that are, you know, hurrahing for change versus Drytron. All right, and Drytron's already super fragile as it is. So it's what happens when the power creep starts happening in the format and people don't get the chance to play because they're like, oh, yeah. But what does Tri do right now? Same thing Tri's been doing these last 6 months, ladies and gentlemen. Revolt, a little bit less now, actually. More bird package. You end on, like, what? Assembled Robin for X bounces, depending on how your combo goes. Barrel Canary is a heck of a card, by the way. F-Zero, and typically something else. It depends what they want to set up, but they typically will have 1 more Exceed monster. That's pretty much their board at this point in time. Now, I want to give 2 honorable mentions here. The first honorable mention is to Flaunderies. Flaunderies has gained a lot of popularity as of late here. They don't even have their quick play spell card yet. Once Battle of Chaos comes, they're going to bump up a notch. Alright, but then Adventurer just kind of, you know, mollywops the deck. So that's a thing, alright? Flaunderies kind of looking like a decently safe investment, and nothing should happen to this deck going forward onto the next list here. So it's sitting at about, I would say, the 6th slot right now. And the 7th slot here is actually going to be Virtual World. Now, Virtual World has been a top tier deck for a while now, but I feel like these decks aren't tier 2, they're like 1.5. You know, with Drytron holding that line. Because remember, the base for all these decks is pretty much Drytron. Is it better than Drytron? Yes or no? Is it worse than Drytron? That's where Flaunderies and Virtual World feel like on the power scale right now. But we'll have to see how Brave Virtual World ends up being as a deck. Because I've heard some interesting things about that one. And then the whole best deck of the format right now is Sword Soul. Alright, you're living under a rock. I actually heard people being like, no, Sword Soul's not good. Alright, bro, it's got representation to back it up. Alright, if players are playing this, it's the best deck. Alright, when you go into a YCH, you see 13 of them bad boys sitting there. You're like, no, it's not the best deck. 10 Sword Soul for board generation is insanity, alright? I've seen some real cool combos. This deck, you want to see it gas to the floor, playthrough fields, that's what you're going to get, ladies and gentlemen. And I think that's what's really worth mentioning at this point in time is Sword Soul is still the best. Will have anything happen to Sword Soul in the future? Probably Protoss getting taken care of would be nice, but outside of that, that's kind of where we're sitting right now for January 2022. What do you guys think? Please leave a comment down below, smash the ever living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later, and there was some more cool awesome content. Peace out, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.